Greetings and salutations. My name is David Duford, owner of Final Expense Agent Mentor. And my guest today on my continuing interview series is Mr. Claude Whitaker. A little bit about Claude. Claude sold in customers' homes for the last 35 years and is a sales speaker and the author of 6 books on selling. In Claude's book on sales prospecting, he talks about how to get referrals that buy, and that's the main topic of today's conversation. So, Claude, could you talk about how you got started in selling?
Well, actually, I started selling insurance when I was 21. That was 41 years ago, with Monumental Life. It's a small company. Don't even know if it's still in business. And I did that for about a year, and then I sold vacuum cleaners for the rest of my life. That's what I did. And here we are. Yeah, I did. And during that entire time, though, it wasn't just that I was selling. A lot of people, sell for 40 years. I've talked to a lot of guys that, are old pros, and they go, well, I've been selling for 30 years. I've been selling for 20 years, whatever. And I talk to them, and sometimes that's a phenomenal education. In other words, sometimes if they say they've been selling for 20 years, that means they've been learning how to sell for 20 years, and they've been getting better every year for 20 years, and those people are phenomenal. A lot of times, though, I talk to somebody who's been selling for 20 years, and what I find out is they sold for 6 months, and then they've just been repeating that 6 months every 6 months for the last 20 years. Okay, so there is a learning process. You can get better and better and better and better. And I'm still, even to this day, I'm still buying sales books and reading and studying and testing new ideas and all of that. It just never gets old.
Right. It's like any other skill. You have to apply yourself and commit to the process. And it's funny, I'm maybe seven years in insurance myself, closer to 10 in sales. And what I know versus what I knew even 2 years ago is the perspective that I have is just changed each and every year because I feel there's some level of growth. And I'm sure you looking back on 7 or 10 years in compared to where you're at now, I'm sure your perspective has changed dramatically as well.
It does. It did change dramatically. I also have to tell you, though, that the first year, maybe the first 2 years, the good news is for anybody that is listening that's new, you make all your mistakes, all your big, dumb mistakes, you make most of those right at the beginning. After a year, if you've read a few books on selling, if you've taken a few courses, if you listen to either a good sales manager or you work with somebody that really knows how to sell, and they become your mentor, and you try to figure out how to do it, how to do the business, how to sell. You'll be 90% as good as you're ever going to get, the first year or two. So it doesn't take 40 years to learn how to sell. It takes 40 years to learn how to, because it's all encompassing. I mean, it's like somebody says, somebody gives you an objection to buying. If somebody gives me an objection, not very often, but every once in a while, I'll hear something that I haven't heard before. And I think, okay, well, if I ever hear that again, I need to have an answer,
Right.
But most of the big ones, most of the big objections, most of the big problems in selling, the hurdles to overcome, you can learn how to do that the first 2 or 3 years. And after 10 years, I read a book by Malcolm Gladwell that's most experts have been doing whatever they've been doing for 10,000 hours, which is 10 years of 3 hours a day. After 10,000 hours, pretty much you're an expert. So that's my theory.
Right. And part of sales, of course, is prospecting, finding people that are interested in what you have to say and more often than not, hopefully buying from us. And, of course, one of the best ways, if not the best way, to generate high-quality leads that buy is to generate referrals. And that's where I want to start with. A lot of agents in my business, a lot of salespeople in general, still cold call. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think we both believe that referral generation is an ideal strategy for the best return on your time. Could you talk a little bit about the advantages of referrals over cold calling?
Well, there's nothing wrong with cold calling, and I've done it. I've done it for maybe the first 30 years. I cold called, but I did it after the first few years, I didn't have to cold call. I did it to get mostly new lead sources is what I was looking for, so I could get referrals from those people is really what I was doing. I should tell you at the beginning, when I was selling life insurance, and the reason I switched to vacuum cleaners, because your listeners are going to say, if they're selling life insurance, why would you switch? Somebody just came to my home, showed me a vacuum cleaner. It was shiny. I said, oh, that's kind of cool. I think I want to sell that. So that's all. That's all it was.
Shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome. Okay. But I was at when I had my sales manager, we'd be at the sales meeting. And my last name is Whitaker, starts with a W, and so we'd go around the room. There were about 12 agents in the room. And once a week everybody would talk about their numbers. And since my last name was Whitaker, I went last. So everybody would say, okay, how many calls did you make? How many appointments did you make? How many sales did you make? And almost all of it, you would hear guys say, well, I made 158 calls. I had 32 appointments. I had 5 presentations and 1 sale. Okay. Next guy would say, I made 250 calls. I had, 8 presentations and I made no sales. And they would go around the room like that. And it'd get to me. Now, this wasn't at the beginning of, this is after I'd been selling for many months and I kind of discovered how to do, referrals from other people. Other salespeople taught me how to do referrals. And they'd say, okay, Whitaker, what about you? And I'd say, well, I made, let me think, I made 8 calls, had 7 appointments, 6 sales. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And after, and we would do that every week. And after about 2 or 3 months, because I'm kind of outspoken, I'm not as demure as, some people, I said, okay, look, guys, I said, one of 2 things is happening. Because nobody's asking me how I'm doing this. Either all of you are lying, or you're just incredibly terrible at this. Calling 150 people and nobody's buying, I don't even think that's possible, like that. But, of course, then they didn't invite me. They said, well, Claude, you don't need to come to any more meetings. I understood that completely.
Hey, you're too good
but
to learn.
It was just because I was working referrals. I had figured it out, and I had read a few books on referrals, at the time, and I had figured it out. And I talked to a few salespeople that I knew that were selling other things, and they said, this is how we get referrals. And one of the things that every new salesman hears is, you need to get referrals. Well, this is almost always their experience. Almost always their experience is, hey, this the first 2 or 3 people they ask for referrals, that person says, I'll tell you what, I can't think of anybody right now, but if I do, I'll give you a call. Or right now, I'll tell you what, why don't you call me back? I'm kind of busy right now. Call me back in a week and I'll see if I can think of somebody, or something like that. And then you never get referrals. And those referrals if you do get a referral, it never pans out. And so it only takes a short time for salespeople to realize, hey, this referral thing doesn't work. Well, what that really means, it doesn't mean this referral thing doesn't work. It means the way that you're getting referrals and the way that you're setting up the referrals and the way that you're contacting referrals is not the right way. You're just doing it incorrectly. And you're pretty well guaranteeing that referrals are not going to be coming your way, and you're guaranteeing that they're not going to talk to you. And it's complicated. Getting referrals, cold calling is much, much simpler.
Right.
Getting referrals is a presentation. It's almost a presentation. It weaves its way through your sales presentation. There's a few-minute presentation at the end of the sales presentation to get the referrals. So there's more to it. In fact, my book on sales prospecting, a third of my book just gives you step by step how to get referrals, how to contact the referrals, all the verbiage, all the the whole script and everything that and it'll apply to almost any kind of selling too, which is good.
So why do you think companies don't teach referrals? Is why do they just say go cold call? Is it
because they don't know how to get the referrals, and cold calling because they don't have to do it. Companies tell you to cold call because they don't have to do it. And there's a cold calling script. That's exactly why. So and managers tell you to cold call because they don't have to do it. So they say, okay, make these calls. And I remember I had a script my first day, I think every insurance company, every sales company, I'm sure has a script of some sort where you make your call. And I remember making cold calls my second or third day. I'm cold calling on the phone to complete strangers that have never heard of me, and I really am. I'm calling. I mean, I can almost remember the verbiage now. I have an idea that I'd like to share with you.
Yeah, right.
It's only going to take a few minutes. When's the best time to catch you and your husband home? And I think, I remember them never, ever, ever, letting me come into their home to talk to them. But with referrals, you've jumped over all the sales resistance hurdles because, you're a friend of a friend. They maybe they don't trust you yet, but they trust their friend. They trust their friend's opinion. And giving referrals and getting referrals is absolutely the most natural thing in the world. A lot of salespeople say, well, it's just, that people don't like to, refer things. Well, of course they do. Have you ever, talked to a friend of yours about a movie, and said, oh, you should go see that movie. This is a really good movie. Well, that's a referral. See?
Yeah.
If you say something good about somebody else and that person you're talking about is in business, that's a referral. See, but there are ways to structure it and to make it more efficient, so that, eventually, I think this is, man, I know for me it's true, and I know for most people I know it's true, but I would say if you have 100 clients, 100 people that have bought from you, I can't think of a reason why you'd ever have to cold call again. Okay, you go back to the people. When I first started getting referrals, I just went back to the people that I had cold called, and I started talking to them about referrals, and that's how I started. They were my base, and the only reason I cold called after that is if I was, in a different area, and I thought, well, I'm just going to get more names. My referral lists are kind of wearing down. I think I'm going to inject some new people in here to, and plus I would be training somebody new, and I would say, okay, here's how you cold call, and I would just go out and knocking on doors. I wasn't calling on the phone. I was knocking on doors, and I'd show somebody how to do that, and then I would show them later how to get referrals because knocking on doors is so much easier to teach. I can do that in an hour. Teaching somebody how to get referrals is going to take longer.
Right. So, Claude, do you think that the reason salespeople in general don't ask for referrals, is it because it's not necessarily taught, or is it because of some kind of head game that salespeople have with the idea of asking?
Well, taught, when you say taught, it's not really taught, because even if you have a script, a sales script for getting referrals from a company that isn't great at getting referrals. I mean, you say I was taught how to get referrals. Well, how were you taught? Well, here's a list of 3 questions you ask the customer. Do you know anybody that would be interested in, hearing this? Or I remember it was, You'll Earn a Fortune. There was a sales presentation when I first started selling. Have you ever heard of this?
No, it sounds like some Napoleon Hill thing, though.
Almost. Yeah, it's almost. When I first started selling life insurance back in 1978 or 77 or so, I mean, it was forever ago. They had every insurance company, I think, bought this script, and it was a flip chart, and it was a script, and it was, asking, part of it was asking for referrals, but it was, who do you know that is a plumber? Who do you know that is, just bought a new home? Who do you know? So you get a list of names. And that's how they taught you how to get referrals. And so you'd end up with this incredibly long list of names, assuming that somebody would sit there for an hour and give you names. You'd end up with this incredibly long list of names that almost didn't even know the people that you were getting a referral from. I mean, I never suggest getting, I never ask for 50 names. I ask for 2, because it's not that much of an inconvenience to ask for 2 names, and I give them the criteria that I want. And they give me the 2 names, and I ask questions about those 2 people, and then I go talk to those 2 people. And then if those 2 people either buy, or at least one of them buys, then I'll go back and ask for more. And if those 2 people don't buy, then I just don't ask for more names.
Right.
Because buyers are buyers. Buyers know other buyers.
Right.
That's the other thing. I don't ask for referrals from people that didn't buy. They got to buy.
Oh, you don't?
They don't buy. No, I don't. And the reason is this. This is a tendency, not an absolute rule, but people that buy, they give you referrals that are good referrals, and they also buy, tend to give you more referrals that buy. And the reason is this, because when somebody gives you a referral and they didn't buy, before you talk to that referral, that person's going to talk to that prospect. And what are they going to tell them? They're going to tell them that they didn't buy, see? And and they're going to have to give a reason why they didn't buy. Well, the reason can't be, I'm an idiot, you should buy, but I'm an idiot, and so I didn't. They can't give that reason. So they're going to come up with some reason why, it's just not for me. I'm going to shop around a little bit more, something like that. And so if you run those referrals, pretty soon all these people know that you're going to go see, all these people know is that everybody you talk to doesn't buy. Okay. So what do they think?
Some
they think,
reason, right? Yeah.
They think, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I don't know what's wrong with this idea that this guy's showing, but I don't want to talk to him. I mean, nobody buys from him. I mean, and what you want to go see somebody that they only know 2 or 3 people that you've talked to, but all those people have bought. So what do they think now? They think it's expected. It's natural for them to buy too. See, it's a form of peer pressure. If I go see somebody and they know 5 people that I've talked to and they've all bought from me, it's really unusual for that person to not buy. It's just really, really hard for that person to not buy. And so you just want this web of buyers that gets ever bigger and bigger and more expanding, and that's what you want. You don't want webs of non-buyers. You'll start out with more non-buyers than buyers, but very quickly you'll end up, if you only see buyers, that's what you're ending up. You're going to end up seeing other people that buy because they know other people that bought from you, and so now it's a habit. It's all a group thing. It's tribal. People want to be like other people that are their friends. Okay, and if those other friends didn't buy from you, they want to be like them too. See, I've seen it, forever and ever and ever. I just stopped. I stopped getting lists of, non-buyers. They're the worst.
So
terrible.
When do you actually ask for the referral? What portion of the sales call?
Well, it's not just when you ask for the referral. It's when they know that you are expecting referrals and they know that you get referrals and that you work by referral. One of the first things I say on a presentation is, even if it's a cold call, see, because I did a lot of speaking over the years, and then I would, people would either fill out a form or I'd make an appointment with them right then, and then I would go see them, and one of the first things I'd say is that normally I work by referral. I'm just, really happy that I met you through this, organization, or I met you through the speech that I gave, and that you, saw me give a speech, so that you know a little bit about what I do. But I always say at the beginning, I normally work by referral. Even if it's a cold call, you can say that. I'm glad that I got to, talk to you making a cold call, but normally I work by referrals. See, and then maybe during the presentation, once or twice, I don't keep hammering it because it becomes obvious. But a couple times during the presentation, I might say something like, you're a plumber. Okay, well, I had this other plumber, that was referred to me by this, by his accountant, and, he had a similar problem to yours. And so I kind of like interject a couple of times that there's that there are referrals going on here. People normally give referrals. And so it's all positioning. And the most important positioning, because I think you're going to ask this, but I want to get this out because if you don't ask it, this is, I think, the most important thing that we can tell people, that I can tell people. It's not that you're asking for referrals. They're not giving you referrals to benefit you. Okay? It has nothing to do with you. The entire reason that they're giving referrals is to benefit the people that you're going to go see. That's who's benefiting. They're not doing you a favor. They're doing their friends a favor by introducing them to you so that you can give them the same information that you gave your client. See?
Right.
They're sharing this information. It's like when they share a movie. You need to go see this movie. You need to go see this movie. It's a great movie. You need to talk to this guy. He's got some really good information for you. See, whether you decide to do business with him or not, I mean, I did, but it's up to you. But I think that you should talk to this guy. He has something I think that would help you. See, so you want to position it like that. It's not you asking them for referrals, because if you ask them for referrals, they're doing you a favor. Okay, I won't even accept that if somebody says, well, I want to help you out. I won't even let them say that. If somebody says, well, I do like you, Claude, I like you, and I do want to help you out by giving you some referrals, I'll say, no, you're not helping me. You're helping the people that you refer me to. See? And I'll say it in a very sincere way, and I mean it sincerely too. And he goes, and the guy might say, well, normally they'll just accept that, frankly. But if they even ask a question like, well, how's that benefiting? I'll say, well, the information, because I'm sharing information. The benefit isn't necessarily that they do business with me. The benefit is that I share information with them, that will help them. Now they'll have more information. They can make better decisions. See,
right.
And that's what I do. You're referring me to your friends so that I can help them, with the information that I gave you. Oh, okay. And then when I go see that referrer, when I call that referred person, when I call that prospect, they've already talked to. That's the other thing. They've already talked to that. The person that gave the referral has to talk to them first. See, I don't call anybody cold if there's a referral. They have to know I'm going to call them. So I called the guy back. I said, did you, because that's another reason I'll ask for a couple of names. Did you talk to Bob and Sally? Those are two different people, two different families. And they go, yeah, I talked to them. Did they say it was, that they, were willing to talk to me? Yeah. Okay, good. Then when I call, I'll say, this is, Claude, from, New York Life or whatever. This is Claude from New York Life. And, I was talking to Bill the other day, and he mentioned that he talked to you. And I had promised Bill that I would take the time to call you and take the time to stop by really quick and share some information that he thought you would really, really want to see. Okay, when's the best time to catch you both at home? Are you both going to be home tomorrow at 5 o'clock? And I just say it like that. See, now they're not helping. When you're calling that prospect, I don't want them to think they're helping me by seeing me. It has nothing to do with me. They're helping the person. They're helping their friend. And so it makes it much harder for them to say no.
Right.
Because if they say no to me, they're not saying no to me. They're saying no to the person that referred them. See?
Right.
So there's real specific language you have to. It's hard to do that. You have real specific language you have to say, so that you put them in that frame of mind. And another thing is once you see a referral, that referral knows that now you expect referrals because that's how they saw you. So now it's way easier to get referrals from that person and so now then that's how you build this web of people that are connected and they know each other, and the ones that know each other bought. See, that's what you want.
Right.
And be really nice if they don't buy, because this is referrals. You have to be really nice and all that, and immediately call back the person that that after you talked, and whether they bought or not doesn't make any difference. You call back and let them know what happened, and always say nice things. Say.
Right. Absolutely. So definitely works, but as you know, agents are going to have some sort of, mental baggage for asking for referrals in this manner. And you made a couple of objections. I think I can hear other agents I've trained say the same thing. First one would be, am I going to look needy by asking for referrals?
Can I address that? Yes, I understand why they say that, especially when they're brand new, especially when they're afraid they're going to look unprofessional. Well, here's who asks for referrals. Here's who gets referrals: doctors, lawyers, CPAs. That's who gets referrals. Okay, that's who asks for referrals. It's not the needy people. The needy people are afraid to ask. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid that they're not worthy of referrals. See, that's another thing. The salespeople are afraid. What have I done that I deserve referrals? Well, you just showed this family, some great information. You acted in a very professional way. Whether they bought from you or not, your visit helped them because now they have more information. You just have to see it like that. It's not. You're not begging. It's not like that at all. You're helping these people. When a doctor comes to your home to give you medicine, he's not begging to give you medicine. He's doing it to help you. And when you're talking to a client or a potential client, you're doing it to help them. See, and that's not just a positioning statement. You have to be thinking that as you're doing it, because it all comes through, as you're talking. But yeah, salespeople will say that, well, what if I haven't done anything to deserve referrals? What if they'll think I need the money. Another thing is they'll think I'm, especially if the client's been a client for a while, they'll think I'm playing off their friendship. I'm taking advantage of them. No, not at all. In fact, this is what I found. If you have a client, let's say you've had a client for a year, okay, and you go back after if somebody listens to this call, or somebody reads, the third of my book that, talks about referrals, and then they say, okay, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to these people that already bought that I did not get referrals from before. Okay, and you go back. This is what has happened. Okay, in that year or that 6 months or however long it's been since they bought from you originally, that client has talked to other people. Okay, and they've done one of two things when they talk to other people about you, because believe me, you are a topic of several of their conversations. Either they are complaining because you did something wrong, or they're bragging to their friends about what a great decision they made. See? And you want to find out which it is. If they're complaining, first of all, if they're complaining, you don't want to go see those referrals, because you can't fix that. I mean, you can fix your client, you can fix that, but you can't fix the stories he's already been telling. So you just have to fix whatever the problem is with your client and thank them, and they'll even want to say, why don't I give you some referrals, and why don't I send you to see Bob? Did you already talk to Bob? Oh yeah, but it's okay. I'll tell him no. You don't want to do that, because now the guy's told some story. It's probably not even true, but they've told some story about you that's going to make you look bad. You just don't want that aggravation. But usually what happens is they were bragging. Oh, I got this new plan. It's great. I had this other plan. This is a brand new one. It's great. I feel so secure, and I think I got a great deal, and my guy, is taking care of me and all that. Well, the people that they brag to, those are the people you want to go see.
Right.
Because those people are absolutely preconditioned to buy. It's going to be really hard for those people not to buy after their friend bragged about how great you are. Because to that prospect, you're a celebrity. See, you're not a pest. You're not a pest calling them to bother them. You're a celebrity. That other guy was bragging about knowing you, about buying from you, about what you sold. Okay, he thinks this is the greatest. You think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. So now when you call, these people are, not only do they take your call, but, oh yeah, I'd like to talk to you. Yeah, I think I'd like to know more about your program. I mean, you're getting that. You're not getting, well, okay, as long as it only takes 5 minutes. You're not getting that. You're getting, yeah, I think I want to know more about that. See, you want to, and that's what you do. You go back and you find all the people that you've talked to before, and find out who's bragged. You don't call the people that didn't buy, but you call the ones that bought, and you find the ones that bragged about buying, and then you get who did you talk to? That's my favorite question. Since you bought, who did you tell about this? Who did you talk to about this? Well, I told my brother Harry, and I told and they had 3 guys at work, and okay, what'd you tell them? And then they'll tell them because they don't know that question's coming, so they'll, it's easier to just tell the truth. So they'll kind of tell you, or they'll hedge, and that means they said something bad. I don't really remember what I said. It's probably not very good. But usually they'll say, oh, I told them that you were very good, and that, there's a good program and all that. Oh, okay, then what did they say? Well, they said, if you're ever in a neighborhood, and that comes up. You're not going to believe how often that comes up. They said, that they said that, hey, if you ever called them, they'd probably, talk to you. But he doesn't know to call you. See, to hey, go see my brother Roy. He doesn't know to do that. So then you go see brother Roy. See, and that's one of the ways you do is one of the ways you get these great referrals, that are almost guaranteed to buy from you. They're guaranteed to see you, and they're almost guaranteed to buy is by going back and asking, who did you talk to? What did you say? What did they say in return? And you only do that with a few, could keep the conversation limited to only a few people. And then if those people buy, then you go back. And you get more names. And I've had, when I was selling, mostly when I was selling vacuum cleaners, only because I've been doing it for so much longer, I've go get free referrals and go back and back and back. a few, not very many. It doesn't happen very often, but I've had a few. I remember one woman gave me, I don't know how many referrals she gave me, like 45, 44 of them bought, and another
Wow.
one gave me 42 or 43 referrals, and 40 of them bought. And, you get these trees, and you only need a few of those.
Sure.
And then you're off to the races. I mean, you're not doing anything else. Once you get really good at referrals, you don't want to do anything else. This becomes your business.
Right.
See?
So what happens, obviously I can hear agents and salespeople listening to them. Oh yeah, this is what happens when everything works perfectly. What if I ask them for referrals and they shrug it off? And even if they buy and I can't think of anybody, let me just follow up with you later. I know we've all experienced that. How do you do?
Well,
deal?
if they say they can't think of anybody, it's because you asked the wrong question. You didn't say, don't ask them something like, who do you know that I could talk to? Well, now you got the whole freaking world they got to look at. They got to try to remember every person they've ever met, and now that it's a huge job for them, you're asking a huge favor. You want to narrow it down to almost nobody. You say, let me tell you, when I get referrals, which is the way I normally work, I find that the best people to talk to, and then usually give the 2 or 3 qualifications that are the main qualifications. See, if you're selling, for example, I don't know, Social Security supplementation or something like that. Excuse me, Medicare supplementation or whatever it is you're selling. Hold on. Sorry. You maybe there's a certain age that you want to see the people. Maybe you want them to be married. Maybe you want them to be single. Maybe you want them to be homeowners. If you've been in sales for more than a year or two, the kind of people that are more likely to buy. See.
Right.
And so you'll say, this person, this type of a job, or this type of an income, or this type, if they're in business, this type of a business, and you narrow it down so that they're thinking, like if you say, like this is what I would say when I was selling vacuum cleaners. This is what I would say. I normally work by, referral. And what we like to see is I like to see married couples over the age of 25 that are homeowners, that have carpet, that have pets, and have talked to a salesman before. And that key, and by the way, you should this is a qualification you should always have. Okay, it doesn't matter what they bought. It makes no difference what they bought before. You want to talk to people that have bought, like if your job is going in people's homes, let's say that's what it is. That's how you talk to people. You make appointments, you go into their homes. If you're doing that, you want to talk to people that let people in their homes.
Right. That's a good point. There's a lot of people out there that would meet every other criteria, but have the do not solicit signs up,
In fact, I did a study of my own personal business, of the percentage of the population that bought from us, or that was likely to buy from us. And it was, well, I'm talking about adults that lived in a home that had jobs. Okay. Of all of those people, 6% were going to buy. That was it. Wow. 6%. So if I just saw everybody and I was a great salesman and I could close everybody, I would sell 6%. See?
Wow.
So I figured out I just won't go see the other 94%. I'll only see the 6%.
Right.
And every population, you can live off of those 6% very, very well. You'll never run out of those people. And one of the criteria that I found in selling vacuum cleaners, and also, and you'll see the same thing in selling life insurance. You'll think it's, maybe some of your listeners think it's different, but it's not different. Buyers are buyers. Somebody that lets you in your home and buys is far more likely to let somebody else come in their home, and they're far likelier to buy. Why? Because they're in the habit of doing that. See, I happen to be one of the 94% that don't buy. I don't let people in my home, and I don't buy. It's real hard to get me on the phone. It's impossible to come to my home. I just don't. I won't let anybody do it. But my parents My parents bought everything. Okay? I mean, everything. Everything. Every single thing. Anybody came to the door, they let them in, and they bought. I do not remember growing up ever them not buying something. They just always bought. Okay? And there are those people. Now, it's not because they're dumb. It's not because you're taking advantage of them or anything like that. It's that some people have mental hurdles. They don't want somebody to come to their home for whatever reason. They don't buy. They're used to not buying. If you go into somebody's home and you sell insurance, one of the first things I always ask when I go into somebody's home is, has anybody else ever been to your home to show you something? Doesn't make any difference what it is. Presenting you a product or a service, has that ever happened? And they'll say yes. Okay? Then I'll say, okay, what was it? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, what happened? And they'll tell me either this. They'll either tell me their tale of woe, okay, or they'll tell me what a great thing it was, and they'll brag about making the purchase. And then what I will do is, if they bought something, now I know this. Now I know those people are in the habit of letting somebody in their home and buying. They're far more likely to buy from me if they'd bought from the other guy. It has nothing to do with how good I am. It has nothing to do with how good he is. They're just far more likely to buy. All right? So I'll ask them, what happened? And then I will compliment them on their purchase. No matter what, if somebody buys, if you ask them, has anybody ever been to your home before? And did, and yes, what happened? You don't say, well, tell me, were they nice people? I just want to know what happened. I do it in a very, very, ambiguous way. I don't want to feed them what I want them to tell me. I just want them to tell me whatever they really think. I'll say, what happened? And they'll tell me what happened. And I don't know if it's true or not, but all I care about is their attitude. I want to know how they think, how they see it, if they like the guy, if they didn't like the guy, and then if they made a purchase. And if they made a purchase, I always tell them that it was a good purchase. And here's why. The worst thing you can do if you're in somebody's home or if you're talking to a prospect is tell them that a previous purchase was a bad idea. It doesn't make any difference what it is. Even if they tell you it was a bad idea. If they say, oh, that was so dumb, I shouldn't have bought that, that boat, I'll say, I don't know, man. It just sounds like, I think I would have. I think it would have, it sounds like you made a good decision. It sounds like you really thought about it and made a really good decision. Why? Because if you tell them that their previous decision was a good one to buy, you're telling them, and they're hearing this. Now, they don't think this. They're not consciously thinking this. But their brain is processing this idea that buying is good.
Right.
And if you tell them that a previous buying decision was a mistake, even if they tell you it was a mistake, and you agree with them that it was a mistake, okay, now what are they going to do? They're thinking, well, I made that mistake before, but I'm not going to make that mistake again, and I'm not going to buy from you. And if you insult a previous buying decision, the only way they can get even with you is by not buying. And they'll kill the sale. So that's right. You have to tell them what a great decision that they made. And it doesn't make any difference if it's insurance. We might talk a little bit later about this. It doesn't make any difference what they bought. It's that they bought. See, and they're experienced with salespeople. Say it again.
That behavior pattern that we want, obviously, to repeat.
That behavior pattern. We want people that we want to help them with that behavior pattern. If they gave referrals, I want to know. If they gave referrals before, I want to know what happened.
Okay.
What kind of experience was that? Mm-hmm. That's I want to know the details so that I can help them. If they have good feelings about it, I want to give them better feelings about it. See, if they have really bad feelings about it, I want to maybe zero it out and make it, so it's not so bad. But I probably won't ask them for referrals. Oh, I gave this guy referrals before, and he screwed me over, and he was terrible, and he never saw him, and I'm never going to give referrals again, and I learned my lesson, and at that point, no, I can. I mean, if you're really good at this, you can. If you want to take a half an hour, you can slowly wheel them back around to zero, and then then they'll go the other way. The dial will go the other way, and now they're your friend. You can do that if you want. I just don't. I don't spend the time doing that. If they're negative, I don't try to turn them into positive. I just want to find the positive people.
You're just looking for your guy, as they say, the one that makes all
I'm looking for my guy. And even when I was cold calling, even when I was knocking on doors, after a while, my whole idea was this. I would knock on doors, and all I cared about was I just wanted one nice guy. That's all I wanted. I'm just looking for that nice guy at the end of the day. That'll, he's nice, whether he buys or not. Nice guy, he'll talk to me. Maybe they'll offer me a cup of coffee or something, and I'll sit there and talk to them for a while, and they're pleasant and I'm pleasant, and then that's it. That's all I care about. I just want to find that guy. See, because I don't want to talk to everybody. Not everybody can buy, and that'll kill you if you're a salesman. That it's that seeing everybody. I'm talking to everybody, and I'm only closing 1 out of 20, and it's terrible. Right. It's because you're seeing everybody. You're talking to. You don't care who you talk to. See, you're trying to sell a vacuum cleaner to somebody that bought one yesterday. You're trying to sell a vacuum cleaner to somebody without floors. You're talking to somebody. You're talking to somebody that's unemployed. You just talk to anybody. So of course
you're saying not everybody's a prospect, Claude.
Well, I'm saying that a lot. Not only is not everybody a prospect, there are grades of prospects. And so what you want to do is, in my books, I say, you want to see the likely buyers, the people most likely to buy. Where are the likely buyers? And you find out who those people are. And then you concentrate on those. And it's not just even a socioeconomic group. It's people that have bought from you before, people that know other people that buy from you. That also becomes a great qualifier. See?
Right.
They know 5 people that bought from you. Well, now they're going to buy, or at least they're going to be really nice to you. Okay. As long as you're really nice to them. You can screw it up, but, anyway, that's that. I kind of got off on a tangent there. Sorry.
Oh no, it makes me reflect. In the insurance business, just really like in any business, 90% of the agents flunk out in the first year because perhaps they sell in this manner where everybody is a prospect. Whereas if they take the advice of, figure out who the qualified prospects are that meet the best criteria of buying, typically those are the easiest. And we all want to deal with the people who are the easiest to deal with. Makes life easier. And these methods allow for that.
There's plenty of low-hanging fruit. The problem is that new people, they can't like when I was training new people, even, for the first thing I would do is I didn't give them referrals. They went on cold calls because I could train them how to do cold calls before I could train them on how to do referrals. Okay, so they had to have a little bit of experience. I wanted them to go out, get their, I don't want to say it in a mean way, but get their nose bloodied a little bit so that they had a few rejections. They kind of know what, people are, what's going to happen. But I also wanted to make sure that they saw sales, see. So I would take them with me, and I didn't give them the sale. It wasn't that. I mean, they just went with me to see me. I wanted them to see that people bought, see. I wanted them to see that it was natural for people to give me money. It was natural for people to buy. It was expected that they were going to buy, and that was an important thing also for me to do, so that the new guys know that there are people out there that buy. It's not, there's part of that is that new people think they can't sell. Well, I can solve that problem by teaching them how to sell. I can't solve the problem of people aren't going to buy. I can't convince them that people are going to buy. I can convince them that they can sell. I can't convince them that people are going to buy. So I have to show them that people are going to buy. And they have to see that. At least I want them to see that 3 or 4 or 5 times, at the beginning. I want them to see that people do buy, that do buy. At least, even the ones that don't buy. I mean, the worst thing that can happen, that's the other thing when somebody's new. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they're going to say no. Well, you had that before you talked to them. It's not like they don't punch you. It's not like you go into their home and they either buy or they punch you in the nose. It's not like that. I had a new salesman, the brand new guy. He asked me, he says, well, what do you do if they, reach over and try to choke you? I started laughing. I said, what did you do to them that makes them want to do that?
Yeah, what did you do,
Yeah, what did you do? I mean, I think in my entire life, I think I have, this is when I was doing in-home sales, I have 7,200 customers that bought from me, vacuum cleaners. I didn't include the insurance ones. I only started counting when I started selling that. 7,200 vacuum cleaner sales and I think 12,000 presentations. Okay. I don't know how many, I don't really know how many, doors I knocked on, probably 50,000, but
Mhm.
I know the numbers within 100. I know the numbers within 100 of how many presentations I gave and how many sales I gave. Okay. So that's a lot of sales, but, I think in my entire life I've only had 2 people ask me to leave, and both of those times were my fault. I said something embarrassing or I said something derogatory or I did some horrible thing. And, I remember one guy, I won't tell you what I said because it's bad, but, this is early in my career, but the guy says, the guy's eyes get really big and I said, "You're not going to let that go, are you?" He goes, "Nope." I said, "I'll just gather my things." But that's funny. I mean, that's one time, and I mean, that makes for a good story,
Oh yeah, right.
That's one time, and that's one time in 35 years of in-home sales. Yeah.
So let's say our new rep has learned your methods, they're applying them, and they, oh my gosh, they've actually got somebody giving them a name that meets certain criteria. They're excited. They say, "You should call my brother." What happens after that? What should they do?
Well, first of all, I want to know why, and I'm going to ask questions about the brother. Okay. Mm-hmm. The quick answer is this: I'm going to ask him questions about the brother, about his situation, because just because this guy wants me to call his brother doesn't mean his brother is a good prospect. Just because it's his brother doesn't make him a good prospect. So I'm going to ask questions about the brother. What kind of work does he do? Is he married? Where does he live? How old, roughly how old is he? Do you know anything about, if you sell insurance, do you know anything about his insurance? If I want to sell vacuum cleaners, do you know what kind of vacuum cleaner he has? That kind of thing. Okay, then I would say, well, would you do me a great favor? Because when I call this guy, when I call your brother, he's not going to know who I am. And if he's like me, I get a lot of calls. So I might just say, "I'm not interested."
Right.
He might just say that. So what I'd like you to do is I want you to call him and ask him if it's okay if I give him a call. And I say it just like that. I don't say, I want you to call him and ask him if he'll buy. I don't say, I want you to call him and ask him if I can come over and talk to him. No. I want you to call him and ask him if it's okay if I give him a call. The reason I say it like that is because it's a smaller request.
Right.
And also it's easier for the brother to say yes to that. And when he says yes, it's okay for him to call, that almost never means, yes, it's okay for him to call, but I'm not going to talk to him. It's okay for him to call, but that's it. He can only call. I'm not going to do anything else. And then, then either, that's another reason I'll ask for a couple of names. Either I'll ask the brother to call right there. Like if I only have a couple of names, I might just ask him to call right then. I'll say, "Could you give him a call right now? Ask him if it's okay if I talk to him." Yeah. Okay. And then he'll call, and I have like a very small script I give him, that you should tell him that, that he doesn't have to buy anything, but it is information that you think he should have and that you think that, that would help him if I stop by, to talk to him. And, when he does that, and even if he goes completely off script, it doesn't make any difference because it's his brother, So when he calls, even if the guy's completely screwing up, sometimes I'll just take the phone. I'll say, "Wait a minute, is it okay if I talk to this guy?" And this is after it depends on the situation. I don't always do it. But I might grab the phone and say, "Hi, this is Claude Whitaker, and I'm here talking to your brother, and, we've been having a good time, and we've been, talking about financial information, and he seems to think that I should talk to you."
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I promised him that I would. So, when would be a good time for me to, stop by for just a few minutes? See, I promised him that I would. He thinks I should give you a call.
You're right. Very good.
He thinks I have something that will help you, and I promised him that I would do it. So it's really hard to say no to those things. Very hard. No, I don't mind that they want to say no. On the phone. I mean, because I'm just a stranger that their brother is sicking me on them, and I understand that. Okay, I know that going in, but but I want them to say yes, because now, believe me, again, they're going to call the brother before I get there. What is this? What's this guy? Oh yeah, he's a really nice guy. He's funny and all that stuff. And he does have some information that I think you might like. And did you buy? Yeah, I bought. I don't know if you want to buy from him. I don't know, but he has a good program. It's the best I've seen, and like that. He'll kind of half sell it for you.
Yeah, right.
Get there, he'll half sell it before you get there. So, and I even want when I was selling vacuum cleaners in people's homes, I would even want them to tell the price. Just get it all out. Well, how much is it? It's $2,000. Damn, you paid Yep, $1,000 for a vacuum cleaner. Yep. You should see it. You don't have to buy it, but you should see it. Okay. Well, by the time I get there, this guy's actually considering, should I buy a $2,000 vacuum cleaner or shouldn't I? He's already considering it, and that's almost insane. Why in the world would somebody consider that? But he's already kind of considering it. Okay. Then I get there, and all I've got to do now is show them good value.
Right.
All I've got to do now is just do what I did before, and they'll say, "Wow!" And halfway through the presentation, they're saying, "I thought my brother was nuts, but this is a really good thing." See, and if you're showing a program, because he's not going to explain the whole program, the whole insurance program, because he can't remember the whole insurance program, but he'll kind of give you some couple of highlights. And by the time you get there, and now you're going to show them this, and now you're showing them other things. You also get this and this and this and this and this and this. Wow, I didn't even know that. Wow, my brother, told me it was this much a month or this much a year. I didn't know he got this. Is this exactly what my brother got? And if it is, tell him yes, and if it isn't, tell him no. Why? Because you're not your brother. Your brother's in a different situation than you. Your brother's not the same age that you are.
Right.
Your brother has different, he lives, he has different needs, than you do. So anyway, that's that.
Yeah, it's interesting listening to the referral strategy you teach, Claude, because to me, in my mind, I think a lot of it just goes back to, salespeople with low self-esteem. They don't realize or really truly appreciate the value that they deliver to their clients and the kind of people that they can help. And it's true too. It's funny. I had a phone call with a guy in the final expense business. He's a multi-million-dollar agency. He's been around for years. And as I'm listening to you teach these concepts, this is exactly what this guy did. He's a top tier recruiter, and he peppered into his presentation, people refer business to me. That's all I do. I know this guy from this company, and I've known him for years, and he named names, people I've heard of, and I'm sitting, he says people like to help me. They want to work with me. And it wasn't over the top. But as I left the phone call, I'm thinking, man, I wonder if he's talked to so-and-so in Florida, or man, I could probably have him talk to this guy in Texas, I'm already going through my mind, I'm not doing any kind of business with this guy, but just hang up the phone, I just started immediately thinking of people, so he impressed upon me the same teaching that you're doing here, which is this is how we do business. And it's funny how you lead the way. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Are you going to ask me about my follow the salesman deal?
Yes. This is my favorite part. I remember discussing this a long time ago. And so why don't you explain the concept to us and elaborate why it's a good strategy?
Here's what it was. I had been asking for referrals before. I'd been working referrals for a long time, and it's when I was selling vacuum cleaners. And I was in a home. This is 30 years ago probably, and I'm in a home, and they bought from me. And then now I'm asking them for referrals. They're giving me referrals, and it was before I even knew to ask if they'd ever bought anything from anybody else, if anybody else was ever in their home. And they just let it slip. They just said, this is kind of like, they said something like, well, this is kind of like that, water filtration system that we bought. I said, what do you mean? Well, this guy came to our house, and for $4,000 we had a water purification system. And at the time, I was selling a vacuum cleaner for I think $1,000. So, they said, and I said, you bought the water purification system? They go, yeah. And he asked for referrals. I said, he asked for referrals? They go, yeah. Well, once a decade, a brilliant idea pops into my head. And this was it. It just, for some reason, I just popped into my head, and I said, so you gave him referrals? And they said, yeah. I said, do you know the people that he went to see? Do you know who bought and who didn't? They go, yeah. Could you give me the referrals that bought? They said, sure. And they just gave me the names of people that bought. Now what do I have? Okay. I have names of people. I have the name and address of people, and I know a lot about them because, again, I'm asking questions like what kind of work do they do. I'm asking qualifying questions so I don't waste, my time and their time. And, I want to make sure that at least they have the ability to buy from me if they want to. I don't want to see somebody that has no ability to buy or absolutely, I don't want to see anybody that has no need for my product. See, I'm not going to hypnotize them into buying. So what I have now is somebody who is used to having somebody call them on the phone, used to having them come over to their home, used to showing them something very expensive, used to buying that day, see?
Right.
Used to buying from them that day and giving them money, and then giving them referrals. They're used to that. They're already trained. These customers are already trained in everything you want them to do.
Right.
Okay. So then this is what happened. So I think that they bought if I remember correctly, they bought the water softener system like 2 years before, maybe, or a year before. It's kind of fuzzy now. They bought it, at least a year before I got there. So now I'm going to go see all the people. I'm following the salesman. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to go see all the people that he sold. And I'm going to get referrals from those people that he sold for other people that he sold. Now, here's what's happening. I'm catching up to him. Pretty soon I'm seeing the people that bought from him 9 months ago, then 6 months ago, then 3 months ago. Why? Because I'm not going to see all the people he didn't sell. See? I'm not going to see those people. I'm not going to see the people that said no to him. I'm only seeing the people that said yes. See? And so eventually what happened was I caught up. I never met this guy. But it was one salesman, and I caught up with him, and eventually I couldn't go any further. Now, since your clients and your students and your listeners sell insurance, this happened in the opposite way to me. I had a brand new. I'd been selling vacuum cleaners for years and years and years, and a friend of mine got in the insurance business, and he says, "Can you refer anybody to me?" And I said, because I already knew the system, and so I'm used to now going to see people that are buyers. See, and by the way, I have to tell you this because a question is going to pop into everybody's mind. Well, what happened after you stopped seeing those water purifying customers? Well, I figured out before I ever got to that point that I just wanted to ask. What about the fire alarms? About the fire alarms? What about the swimming pool that you bought? What about, these other things that you bought? And then I would go see those strings of referrals too. So I kept branching off into other strings of referrals. So I didn't have to stop after I, saw all the people that bought the water purifier. But I had this friend that, decided to get in the insurance business. And he goes, who should I go see? I said, I'll tell you who you should go see. This really nice couple that's, younger and, here's their phone number. They like me. Tell them that that I suggested that you call them, and I think that they should they should talk to you. Now I don't remember if I called them ahead of time. I don't remember that or not. It's been too long, but I don't remember if I called him ahead of time to pave the way for this guy, or if he just went to see him. So he went to see him, and he started racking up a lot of sales because he's going to see the people that bought from me. He's going to see buyers. Okay. And I remember being in a home, and the guy's name was Dave. Okay, I remember going into a home, and I'm showing him my vacuum cleaner, and I get done, and they said, we probably would go ahead and buy this, but just a couple of days ago we bought this really nice, expensive insurance program. It's like $100 a month from this guy named Dave. And I go, what's his last name? And they told me, and I go, oh no, he caught up to me. Now he already. So that's what happened, and I didn't get mad. I thought it was funny. It's like, oh my gosh, this. He really made that work. Which I was very proud of him, for doing that. So yeah, go see people that are used to buying. That's don't go see people that have never bought. Go see people that are used to buying stuff and are used to buying in the way that you sell. Say.
Right.
So anyway, that was one of the best ways I got. In fact, then what I would do is I would go to other vacuum cleaner companies because I was selling vacuum cleaners, and I would say, I will pay you for your list of names of buyers, that already bought from you, and I'll service them. I'll go out and for no charge. I won't charge you for this at all. I'll go out and ask if they need anything or if they need service on the vacuum cleaners that you sold. And they go, "You'd do that?" And I go, "Sure, I'll do that for free." They go, "Okay, well, go see these people." Because they didn't like to do service. These people didn't like to, if you sell vacuum cleaners, you don't like to go back over and over and over again to do service. They want to sell, but they don't want to do service. So I go back and call them up, and because I knew this, I'd call people that bought 5 years ago from them, and I know this: the average length of the time that somebody buys a new vacuum cleaner is about 5 years. So I'd go see people that bought a vacuum cleaner for a lot of money 5 years ago, and now I'm going to show them something different, and they're probably going to buy from me, which they did. See, and then that would become another string of referrals. So I didn't need the cold call anytime after that. And again, I because people in my company, the company that I was a distributor for selling vacuum cleaners, I was, they kind of knew who I was, and so people would want to work with me, and they would say, "Well, I want to find out what you do," and I say, "Well, I just work referrals, it's because they were still used to going to the fair and having getting leads that way, and making cold calls on the phone and offering, gifts if we can come out and, talk to you and all that." And I said, no, in fact, one of the ladies a lady that worked with me for a week, she says, I figured out the difference between, you and me. And I said, "Well, what's that?" And she says, "Well, I'll go out and I'll do 10 presentations in a week, sell 2, and I'll think, gee, that's pretty good. I made 2 sales." She goes, "You'll go out and do 6 presentations in a week, sell 5, and then agonize over why you missed that 6th one." And I said, "I guess that's true, I guess, But anyway, that's that.
Well, Claude, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I think
Sure.
everybody listening to this is going to be is thrilled with the amount of information that you've given. How can my audience find out more about your sales training books and the services that you offer?
Well, I'll tell you what, just go to Amazon.com. You should maybe, if I could suggest maybe putting a link, just go to Amazon.com, type in Claude Whitaker. Whitaker is spelled differently. It's Whitacre, and, you'll pull up my books. And the ones that they should buy, because I have 6 of them, with a couple on the way, the 2 that they should buy, one is called Sales Prospecting, and then the ultimate guide to finding highly likely prospects you can close in one call. But Sales Prospecting by Claude Whitaker, that's the book that we've kind of been discussing a little bit about. Mm-hmm. And then I have one on one call closing. Those are the 2 books of those 6 that they should really read. The Sales Prospecting one probably is the one that generates more profit and more income for salespeople, because I can teach you how to close better. And I've noticed over the decades, I can increase my closing percentage, but it's smaller amounts. But by seeing different prospects, by seeing better quality prospects, that can multiply.
Right.
That can multiply the sales. It doesn't just add another 10%. It can double and triple the sales. Almost all the big breakthroughs I've had where I've started selling, tons more, are in the way I got the leads and what I said when I got the leads, how I handled the introductions, how, got people to introduce me to somebody else. That was really the part that really, that gave me the most, profit. And also, it's more fun. See, if you're working referrals, everybody likes to talk to you. Everybody wants to talk to you. You're not bothering people. You're not a pest. You're a welcome guest. They're looking forward to you stopping by. That's a completely different a completely different experience than what a lot of salespeople are used to. You know, is somebody going, oh okay, come on in, you know, and you're like this guest, you know, instead of being the guy that's, oh yeah, all right, I'll talk to you, but I'm not promising anything. You know, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear the, oh yeah, please, come on in. I have a couple of questions for you, and then you answer the questions, and it becomes more of a conversation, not a hard pitch. It sounds more like a conversation at that point.
Sure.
It's been wonderful talking to you. Anything else you want to know before we part?
Oh no, Claude, you're just wonderful for sharing all this information.
I appreciate it very much.
I'm going to be putting it to use immediately. I know my audience is too. And again, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Claude.
Very cool. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye.